What up, everybody? Welcome back to Vintage and Stuff podcast with your host, Drew Heifetz. That's me. Today on the show, we have Mitch Hames, a.k.a. Single Stitch Mitch, owner of Single Stitch Madison, which is a hustling and bustling vintage store in Madison, Wisconsin. What can I say about Mitch? I recently met him in Denver. He's a great guy. He's killing it with his store. He's a big-time hustler. He refuses to fail. This guy, everybody knows him because he did a massive JNCO drop on his website with like 1,000 pairs of JNCOs and sold out. Went super viral for it. He's a genius in marketing. He's crushing it with this store, selling to college kids. He's just a smart dude. If you own a vintage store, if you ever plan to own a vintage store, if you're in the vintage business at all, or you just want to learn more about vintage, this is a great episode. I can relate to this guy a lot because he does operate on my level. He has a team of people. He runs a brick and mortar store. He works within trends and has to run POS systems. There's a lot of information in this episode that you're going to want to listen to. Great banter, great chat. He's also a semi-professional bass fisherman. Let's go. Without further ado, let's jump in to the episode with Mitch, a.k.a. Single Stitch Mitch.
Welcome to Vintage and Soft with two high fits. Welcome to Vintage and welcome to Vintage and Soft with two high fits. Welcome to Vintage and welcome to Vintage and Soft with two high fits. Welcome to Vintage and welcome to Vintage and Soft. Vintage and Soft. We got vintage clothing by the rack. Yeah. Just check out my Insta. How you gon' argue with that? Everything you see, I manifest. I'm an architect. I think I'ma run it back. We got vintage clothing by the rack. Just check out my Insta. How you gon' argue with that? Everything you see, I manifest. I'm an architect. I think I'll have some of that.
Mitch, welcome to the show, my man.
How's it going?
Going good, thanks. How you doing?
Good. It's nice
Sweet.
out
All
here.
right, so it is good day out there. The weather's shining.
Finally starting to get nice in Wisconsin. Is it nice by you yet, or is it still cold?
No, it's good. Today's kind of rainy, but we've had good weather. It's been warm. I took a swim in the lake yesterday, so
Sick. Yeah, that's like where we're at too.
nice. And as a retail man, good weather is good for business.
Oh yeah, especially for us. We got farmers market. We rely heavily. If it rains,
Nice.
nobody pops up.
I feel that, man. Okay, so quick intro here. I met you for the first time recently in Denver at ThriftCon, but you've sort of been on my radar for a minute. I guess because I probably found you first through your JNCO drop that we're going to talk about on this episode, but also I feel like you're kind of getting brought up within the business more and more, and I sort of hear your name being thrown around. So I'm excited to chat to you. I feel like I can relate to you because you are a business owner. Well, I mean, I guess everyone in the vintage business is a business owner, but there's a lot of hobbyists as opposed to like real businessmen, people that own stores, people that dive deep into it like yourself. They're sort of farther and fewer between. Your friends speak very highly of you, I gotta say. And sometimes when I do these episodes, I reach out to people's friends and I'm asking all this information, and I get ghosted a lot by these people, but your friends were very willing to hype you up. So that sort of shows, I guess, how important you are to them, but also how much you motivate them. And they just speak very highly of you. They say that you're a super hardworking guy. Your work ethic is beyond belief. So yeah, kudos to you for having good friends that are willing to back you up like that.
Yeah, shout out to the boys.
Shout out to the boys. So one of them says, Mitch has more money than he knows what to do with, and motivationally, he has set the bar for any shop almost anywhere in the country due to how well you are doing. So that was just one of the lines from one of your boys.
All
So
right.
I guess we could kick it off there. Like, you know, it came up a lot that you're super motivated. You have gone from, you know, these are the people that kind of motivated you to start, but now they're saying that you motivate them to keep going. So what is your motivation? You have so much drive. You're a hustler. What's it all about, man? Where does that motivation come from?
I feel a lot of it, I think, comes from the fact like I grew up like going to my grandma and grandpa's dairy farm like a lot. Like I almost like consider that to be like my second home. So I feel like I always have just like from a kid I just got put to work. So like whenever I have like a big thing in front of me, it's never been like I don't ever like dwell or like think about like what's gonna go into it. It's more of just like I'll come with that stuff as it comes. And I don't know, I just
Yeah.
feel like that is like a main factor for why I can just kind of keep going and going. And I don't know, for motivation, it's more of just like I want to be able to like live the life that I want to live. And I feel like there's only like certain ways for me to be able to achieve that. So
Yeah, totally. So what is that life you want to live? Like, spell it out for us. Give us the picture,
I don't
man.
know. Well, I don't really know because it's just kind of like what I just want to do whatever I want to do. And like that's changed like already so much. And I know it's just going to continue to change. But like, I don't know, just have like freedom and like be able to provide, especially for like my friends. Like, a lot of the people that like support me, like I try to support them back as much as I can.
That
Ideally,
also came
like
up with your friends. They said that. Yeah.
ideally, like make some money to where like I can like buy like this huge lot of land and then like all my friends can live on it. I don't know. Like I don't
The
know.
hippie commune.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know. Whatever. I have no idea. Like I
Yeah.
don't
No,
think
that's
like
cool. I mean,
I
you
know
kind of
like
said it there. It's freedom, right? It's the freedom to do whatever the hell you want.
a lot of people talk about like big like long-term goals, but like I don't really I do have long term goals, but at the same time, like I understand that they're so flexible and like stuff's gonna change. So I don't necessarily like I'm not really like focused on what's to come and like super long, but I have an idea. But I know
Yeah.
everything's gonna change so much until that comes. So
Fair enough, man. And they also referred to you as like the little homie. Like you're a lot younger than a lot of your friends that you gave me here. How old are you?
24, just turned
24.
24.
You currently have a store in Madison, Wisconsin. This is already your second store. Um, and something that I think is important. Actually, before we get into this, I need to ask you what were the jobs that you did on the farm?
Uh, I mean, like I fed cows. I didn't really like milk cows. That was the only thing I didn't really do. But I did a lot more like tractor driving and like fixing fences and like picking rock. I did a lot of hauling shit because that
Okay.
was just like easy. That's what I did like throughout high school just to like make money. But I also like that's the other thing. Like I've been doing that for so long and like so I've always like kind of taught to where it's like my dad was always like if you want shit like you just got to buy it yourself. Like if it's something you really really want and you can't afford it like maybe sometimes he'd go in halves, but everything else it's like if you want a new fishing pole like you got to just go buy it. So I just always worked to make money.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And like now you're a business owner and you have employees. Do you see how the work ethic, I mean, maybe it's different in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't know. But the work ethic among the young folk nowadays, you know, you're kind of an anomaly, even at your age, 24. Uh, you know, I always say like, I worked with someone who also grew up on a farm. She was more of a fruit farmer, but similar. Like you work as a kid in those scenarios, right? But a
yeah.
lot of the kids nowadays uh, don't know what a good hard day's work is. Have you run into those sorts of people in your time as a boss?
I feel like I mean like I have times, but I feel pretty like lucky with the team I got. Like they're all people I would consider friends as well as employees. I mean they're always going to be the end of the day as much as like we all hate it, like they're all going to be employees first, but like we're all still homies. So I
Yeah.
feel like we don't really run into a lot of problems. I'm not like afraid of confrontation and like they all like they have a pretty lax job and can kind of do they have a lot of freedoms that they wouldn't necessarily get somewhere else. I feel like they all understand that. So the respect comes back.
Nice. That's great. That's another subject I want to dive deeper into for sure. But we'll get into that later. Let's just kick it back to sort of how the hell you found yourself in this crazy world of vintage clothing.
Yeah. All right. So I guess how did it start? It started high school in like I'll say like probably 2017. Well, it really started in middle school over polo pocket tees. Over me and my homie
Damn.
C-Bone. And it was stupid. Like we had no internet and like West Salem's a real small town. So like, and especially for fashion, like there ain't much. So like we would get like, I remember he had like a green shirt with a purple pony and we were like, yo, dude, he's got a purple pony. Like I've never seen that colorway. And we'd go to like TJ Maxx and then start going to like Goodwill to get pocket tees. But then like, I guess like
Very
once high
random.
school came, yeah, that's like I would say the first intro. I mean, I started off, I've been reselling stuff my whole life. Like it started off, used to go to like the flea market. I started selling porcelain signs before I ever sold clothing, like
Okay.
vintage signs and like beer cans and stuff.
Yeah, that's proper country flea market shit. The big old
Yeah.
porcelains and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like go work at the neighbor's farm and like instead of getting money, I would like ask if I could have like the sign that was hanging up inside the barn and stuff like that. And then I would just go to the flea market with my uncle and sell it. But
Nice.
clothing wise, I kind of just started like buying vintage stuff at the thrift stores for myself, kind of like everybody else. And then all the homies would come over and buy stuff out of my closet. And it was like, why am I putting in all the effort to just buy stuff in my size and like stuff that I like? And I was working third shift at the brewery, which is like my only ever really official job. And I did that, and I was working night shifts, and I would take photos during the day, and then I would list on Depop while I was waiting to catch my line. And then pretty much got to the point where I was like, I'm making $110 a day working at this job. So if I got just beat $110 a day in sales. And then like it was just like one day I found a pair of Jordans for like $13 and sold them for like $350. It was just like walked in, put my 2 weeks in, and then started doing pop-ups in my driveway every other week. I like strategically looked for this house that was like, I was trying to figure out like where like the main traffic would for like the small college in La Crosse. And then I found like a house with like a 4-car driveway. So then every other weekend I'd like set up and just catch kids on their way home from work.
Nice. So you
And then
already had it in your the plan was already to sell to the college kids from day one pretty much.
And like honestly, like I say this to so many people, like I would pay so much money to go shop at those pop-ups. Like just to know, because I know like nothing was over 20-30 bucks. Like I have like pictures of like a table full of Levi's with like a Levi's $5 sign. It was like garage sale prices pretty much.
Wow.
But that was also like I was like it was such a new thing in the town. I don't think I would have been able to get like anything more than what I was asking. But then it pretty much just grew. Or I guess go ahead.
No, so you're saying that you would pay to go back to your own yard sales to see what
And
you had on
shop
the table.
and shop at my own yard sales. Like cash myself out. Like I would love to go back. Like I don't even
That's
know. I
amazing.
would have put like some crazy stuff, just like because I was just hitting garage sales, like picking up anything that I thought was cool. Like, I mean, I even look back, like I scroll down on my Depop to like listings from like 2018, and there's like Star Wars all over prints that I sold for like $12. But
Wow.
that's also
Yeah, well, we've all been there, but yeah, that'd
yeah.
be sweet. Go back and cash yourself out. When you get the DeLorean, that's where you're going first stop.
Probably, honestly, that would be fun just to see. Like, I was so clueless at the time. Like, I didn't really like. I just knew it was something because I knew there was like the round two show, like, and everybody would like watch that stuff, and I'd be like, all right, so like obviously there's other people who like this besides like the group of like my 3 friends that also enjoy this. So we just started doing it, and then I kind of just like started making like decent money where I was like, all right, I feel like. Oh, honestly, it got to the point we lived upstairs. I forgot to say this. So every night we'd have to carry like all this stuff, and it was like a decent pop up. Like I probably had 40 feet of rack total, like full, like jam packed. So we'd
Yeah.
carry everything up and down the stairs like the night before, then we'd take it upstairs the night, and we do it Friday, Saturday, so then we'd have to bring it back down. And then it got to the point where I was like, yo, this is just like sucks, like having to carry it up and down all the time. So I was gonna find a storage unit. And then I found out that like in small town La Crosse, a storefront's like damn near the same price as a storage unit. So I just got a storefront. And at first we were open like Friday and Saturday. And it was just like,
It was
and
cheap enough that you could be open Friday, Saturday, and still make enough money. The rent.
yeah, I mean, that's like what we started. We're just like, we're going to be, or maybe it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think. And then it was dirt. Like it was like $1,000 for, it was 1,400 square feet of storefront. And then there was a 1,400 square foot garage in the back that we turned into a skate park.
Wow.
But it was a
That's
slum, but it
crazy.
was also a slumlord. Like that's the other thing. Like I'll never forget. Like we had a leak in the ceiling, and like water was just coming through, and it made a hole like in the ceiling. And I told my landlord, and he came and he put sheet metal and just screwed sheet metal to the ceiling, and then spray painted it after he put it on the ceiling. Like it
So
was
what happened?
wild. The water
Well,
stopped leaking. Like the water, he
okay.
fixed the leak, but then I was like, "What are you gonna do about the huge hole in the ceiling?" And that's just like what he did. It was a
Yeah.
strip. It was a pole dancing fitness class before it was a vintage store. So we had a
Okay.
huge like dancing mirror on one side. It was sweet. Like for what it was, like it was a sweet little store. Like I loved it. The location was kind of mid, but the
Yeah, and you had a
storefront
skate
itself
park.
was cool. Yeah, the skate park was like the best part.
That's fucking epic. Give
But
us the play by play of your skate park. What are we talking? Like a hip, like some
no,
boxes, a bank.
He wouldn't allow us to put concrete in. I wanted to put concrete in it, but like it was just quarter pipes on both ends, and then it was like a really long, narrow garage, so we couldn't do a whole lot. But we had quarter pipes on both ends, and then just like boxes. We had a hubba, and then just like a bunch of rails. And we would do this thing where like you'd start in the store and run all the way through to the garage, try to get a bunch of speed, and then we'd take 7 rails and like combine them and see who could like board slide all 7 rails.
Lace the whole thing.
Yeah.
Nice. You have any footage of that we could put in the show?
Probably, yeah. I have some old footage for sure.
Dig it up. Dig it up.
Yeah.
So then I want to jump into this. How you moved to Madison, where you currently are. How long were you at this first location?
We were there for like a year and a half, 2 years, I think. Like right, just short of 2 years. Like I think we closed the store technically 3 months before our lease ended. But that was
Okay.
because we needed like we closed the store. I want to say in like June of 20. Yeah, we closed in like June or May of 2021, and then took like 3 or 4 months to move to Madison. And I honestly like moved to Madison because like one, I thought we were just outgrowing the city of La Crosse a little bit, and I personally just like needed a change. Like I didn't necessarily want to continue living in the town I pretty much grew up in. So then we moved there, and Danny moved there with me, and then me and Danny ran the Madison store together. And then after about like a year, Danny moved back to La Crosse and then opened up his own version of single stitch in La Crosse again. So
Oh,
then
cool.
he's
How
got
far are these towns apart?
2 hours, two and a
Okay.
half, 2:15, depends on how fast you drive. But
So one of your friends had said that we got to talk about the opening of Madison, and you had this like master plan concocted when you opened the new store.
yeah,
Explain this. And he said it was bonkers. Like the opening week numbers were just fucking mind blowing.
so my sister, well, I guess, yeah, was it my? I think my sister was going there her freshman year when we opened, but somehow I don't know how we figured out, but we figured out that like move-in weekend and then the first home football game and like parents' weekend all falls on like that same day. So we pretty much like knew that was going to be our grand opening. Like we announced the grand opening, I think like 2 or 3 months before. We pretty much announced the grand opening when I signed the lease, and then we just like got to it and did the whole build out, and then yeah, we pretty much did it, and then we were like, holy shit, we were selling our Badger stuff's priced way too cheap. Like we were putting Badger Critics out for like $20 to $30 because that's like what we would sell them for in lacrosse. And then two,
Yeah.
we were like, we need way more stuff. Like way more. Like we thought we had like a month's worth of restock in the basement, and like we ran through it in like 3 days. And we were like, and then we had to like, I'm pretty sure we just like, we closed for 2 days. And then me and Danny both were like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to Milwaukee. He's like, all right, I'm going to go back to like lacrosse. I don't know where we ended up going, but like, we just went and like sourced as much stuff as we could in like 2 days. And that was like probably the biggest wake up call in like my vintage career was just like the grand opening of me just being like you, something like you always knew was possible, you know, but then like it actually happens and you're like, oh, holy shit. Like
Yeah.
now it's becoming, because in lacrosse, like it wasn't, we were still like, we were only open, I think at our peak in lacrosse, we were open 4 days a week, Thursday through Sunday. So I had like days off where I could just like chill. Like I could go to the bins all day and like do all that. And then like this happened where I was like, okay, now I like have to be here like all the time. And like got to make sure the store's going good, and it like became, that's when it became like really like a full-time job where I like really started to take it like super serious. And now ever since then I've just been focused on like continuing to grow.
That's epic that you guys crushed it so hard on the opening. Now, what do you think is the contributing factors to that opening success?
I think for one, it's definitely like something that like Madison is needed. Like it used to be, State Street is like a kind of its own little realm. It's really hard for me to like describe it to people. It's like you can't drive on the street. It's like it's not a pedestrian mall, but it kind of is a pedestrian mall. Back in like the days, like it used to just be like all, I mean, like they used to do like Freak Fest where like there would be live music on the street, like cars would get flipped, like it would be like all crazy partying, but at the same time like it was all mom and pop restaurants. And I think like during COVID everything closed, and it really is like got taken over by a lot of franchise stuff. So it's just like I think it's nice for them to see like something that's just new and different. And then I think also just like it was needed in the fashion as well. Like Wisconsin's, or I would say Madison's a pretty big city for fashion. Like Virgil studied here, and like I think that started like a whole new wave as well.
No way.
So
Virgil studied there? They have a fashion school?
there's a Wisconsin off-white shirt that's like made because he did like a book signing here, and like that's when he released them. They're from like 2013.
All right, guys. Thank you for continuing to listen to the episode thus far. This is the free 45-minute version of the show, but if you want to get the full 2.5-hour episode of the show, where we talk about all kinds of amazing topics, you want to jump on the Patreon. The Patreon is free for your first week. Then it's only $5 per month. That's it. $5 per month to get on the Patreon. But you can listen to this episode for free with your free 1-week trial. Link is down below or up in the corner. You take your pick, or you can become a member right here on YouTube. Back to the episode. Amazing. And how did you mark, like you said that it was like Frosh week and the first football game and all these things, right? Parents weekend or something?
Yeah.
Which is like the beginning of the school year, obviously. How did you market to the students when you were super new, or did you not even need to worry about that because it's such a bumping street anyway?
So like while we were doing the build out, we would put a rack outside, and like somebody would sit outside. We would just put like a rack out of like teasers, and like it was all for sale. Like people could buy it, and like if people like liked it and were interested, like then we just give them the whole spiel about like what's going on and what's happening and whatever. And then I pretty much just put posters all over campus, and then just did a ton of Instagram promo, which I feel like is one of the most like underrated. I mean, it isn't anymore because it's just like saturated at this point, but
Yeah.
back then I mean, like, dude, I remember in like 2019, I'd put $100 into an Instagram promo and get like 800 followers off of it.
Yeah,
Like
you'd
back
kill it.
then, you could just like you could eat off of them, but now then they started giving them out for free, and now it's like everybody does it, so it doesn't. It still works, but it doesn't give you nearly as like it doesn't give you what it used to give you. That's for sure. But yeah, I
Yeah.
just pumped money into that, and then I think it really like for me, I really don't put a ton of money into marketing. It's always just been word of mouth. Like for me, it's like if you build something good, like the word's just gonna spread naturally. So I kind of just rely on that to do its own thing,
Yeah. But
especially in a college town.
sometimes it takes time, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I've had, I put like Squamish, my store here, I'm in the warehouse right now, is out of the way. And I have a store here that we open to the public as part of the warehouse. It took like a year and a half. Like we were doing business for like 2 years maybe here. And a year and a half in, it just started to take off because the word of mouth finally got around. So it's like, yeah, we were making money, but then it like at a point, it like exponentially went crazy because the word took time to get around
Yeah,
and the high school kids had to talk about it and whatever. But it's sweet that you were able to bang it out so quick and get that following. So what from day one, was it like just busy?
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like it's on the main street, like, and it's also like every Saturday is farmers market, which is on like the top of the square, which is at like the top of the street, and then all the campus building is at the end of the street. And so, like, if you want to
Yeah.
get to the farmers market from campus, you pretty much walk up and down State Street. I mean, like most people just go up and down State Street on a daily basis, like on their daily commute, or just that's just something they naturally do. Like I got people who just like their dailies, like they don't live anywhere close, but they're just on State Street like every day. Like they don't work there or live anywhere close. It's just like something to do.
Nice.
But
Good location. Good location is key, people. Take notes.
yeah, and that's something like I preach on for me because it's like I still to this day I look around and like I've been to a lot of vintage stores and it's like I the location is like the biggest thing. That's always been the biggest difference between like from my perspective, like the successful stores and the ones that are struggling. It's all about like a lot of people would be like, damn, like, yeah, we haven't really been making a lot of sales. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, you're like nowhere near anything. Like, there's nothing, like, you don't, and a lot of people, like, they're in like an office building when, like, you got to have some signs or like something to show people. Like, that's like the biggest thing. It's just like, for me, it's like I don't have to spend money on a bunch of stuff because I have people that just like walk by every day. I have 1,000 people that walk past my store every single day.
Yeah, you got to think about that. My dad always kind of talked to me about this. Location requires no marketing. If you have a great location, you don't have to put money into marketing. You can, but you don't have to. If you have a shit location, you're going to put a ton of money into marketing and it still might not work, right?
Yeah,
So what do you
exactly.
want to choose? Like you're going to pay less rent for a shit location, but you're going to have to put more money into marketing and you don't even know if that's going to work. You might as well pay more for the good location and have those people built in that are already there.
Yeah. The way I've always looked at it is like those extra sales that we made. Like for me, I always kind of look at it as like I don't know how to really explain it. Like you got to pay for some sales, and then some sales you don't have to pay for. Like some sales you had to put money into marketing, and that's how you made that sale. And then some sales just come naturally from somebody who had no idea you were there, or like they were gonna come anyways, whatever. And if I can just get like X amount of those free sales or whatever you want to call it, that just pays for that marketing. Like all the marketing that I have to pay for is paid for by my location, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're sort of like justifying and you're making it all make sense in your brain in some way of like what
Yeah.
money funnels other money. And
Well, yeah,
yeah,
obviously, but like I'm just saying, like I don't feel as bad like putting money into a little bit of marketing, knowing that like I have so much naturally coming in.
yeah. So on that note, lessons have you learned? What things can you share? Obviously, we just talked about location, but what other tips or tricks can you share with the people about running a brick and mortar? Like things that you've learned, maybe things from your first store that you've changed, or things that have helped you grow in Madison.
I feel like for me, it's always just been like paying attention to your customers. Like I think a lot of people like if 20 people come into my store and pick up this shirt and be like, damn, $100. Maybe like you can't. That's just a shirt you can't sell for $100. Like I think a lot of people need to realize like you have your own market, and like just because a shirt is going for $100 on eBay, sometimes you're way better biting the bullet and selling it for like $60 because that's your market. And then like instead of sitting and staring at that shirt for 3 years because you want to sell it for what it's listed for on eBay, like because there's a lot of things that I sell for that are over eBay price, but that's my market. But then there's also 95% of the other stuff that I'm selling for under eBay market or whatever you want to call retail price or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like because I know I can't, there's no point. Like I could try and maybe sometimes it happens. Like that's definitely where I first started. When I first opened up my stores, like I definitely am just trying to get like trying to see what my market is, but now that I've done it, like it's way better to start low and work your way up in pricing than start high and work your way down.
Yeah, I love that you say that as one of your tips. It's important, I think, on many, many levels, because you're saying that a lot of things as a brick and mortar store, we get to sell for more than eBay. And when I look at that, I think most of the shit is more than eBay because you can't sell a mid on eBay, period. Right? Like a mid that we sell for $30 would be $5 on eBay, right? Because it just doesn't sell. But then we try, then there's people that are trying to get top dollar for the grails, we'll say. And again, your customer probably won't pay that, but that's okay. You make it up on the mids, right? And then you also got to think too. So this has come up a few times in my business where my staff will come to me and be like, I think we can like get more for this. And if it's like, I weigh that up sometimes because you got to think how many people will get pissed off at a price before someone buys it. Yes, you may be able to get it, but like, will you fuck yourself because you have 10 people that got pissed and then they might not come back, right? So I'd rather price it fair and have everybody be stoked and not you alienate people by pricing too high, I think.
Yeah, and I can say that like from experience. Like I for sure have done that. Like I've for sure driven customers out of my store because I had one item priced higher than what it should be priced at. Like I know that's happened, and like that's happened to everybody. Like
sure
happens everywhere. But like I can say like pay attention to your like customers' body language and like what they're saying around you. Like a lot of people will like love to bitch and moan about like their customers complaining or whatever, but it's like at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, that's your customer. Like you got to satisfy the customer. Like you got to like pretty much give them what they want, or else like you're going to be staring at it forever. It's not like we're like a lot of people treat this like typical retail where it's like, oh, well, I bought this. We got these box of Nike Dunk shipped to us. We paid this. Suggested retail is this. So, and it's like, we don't have a suggested retail. Like you can sell it for whatever you want to sell it for. Like the amount of times I buy stuff and sell it for like $5 more than what I paid for it just because they thought it was cool and it would like help with the Instagram and it would be a cool thing to post. It's like the amount I've done that so many times where it's just like, it's a marketing thing for me. It's just like, I'll buy a shirt for $60 to sell for $65. But as long as that post gets, as long as enough people see that post, I pay $60 for a shirt to sell for 65. But I make an Instagram post out of it, and it drawed 20 people into the store, and 3 of them bought something. I made money on that shirt. Like I don't know, like.
No, it's so true. We call that the chum. When you throw the blood in the water for the sharks, man. And that's what that is. And we do that too. We try not to take losses on things, but you also, like I did it with JNCOs, and we're going to talk about your JNCOs in a bit, but I bought JNCOs at Rose Bowl for like way too much money last time I was there, just to say I have fucking JNCOs in the store.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make money on them, but I know that I'll bring a shitload of kids in to look at them.
Hey, if you want attention right now, you just got to post anything about JNCO and you'll get it. I have Instagram
Okay.
posts from like a year ago that are like trending right now. Like we have a JNCO post. It's not even a reel. It's a post and it's got like 28K. Like it's just
Wow.
blowing up and it's just like something we posted it like 4 months ago. Like we don't have any of it. Like it's all gone, but every day it's a DM about JNCOs.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like now, that's like the one thing about that JNCO drop is like now everybody is just like, hey, are you going to do another one? When's the next JNCO drop? You got any more JNCOs? And it's like it took me 4 years to get all that, and now especially with the market, it's like I can't even if you guys really want a JNCO drop, I have to be able to sell them for like $250 to $300 because I can't buy them for less than that.
So what were you selling them for in the original drop?
Like. I mean, like we sold some pairs. Like I sold some pairs for like $800, but like I also sold a lot of pairs for like 120 to 150, 175. I mean, I feel like I sold them for what I valued them at least. I don't know. I probably
Yeah.
undersold a lot, but I don't really care.
Yeah,
I
fair
do.
enough. And that was
I
sort of at the
ideally,
beginning of that
yeah,
hype, right?
exactly. I mean, like ideally, like that's the thing. Like I thought it was peaked. Like I saw pairs selling for like 600, $700. I'm like, there's no way it keeps climbing. Like I feel like everybody, and that's the thing that also is like I was buying made in USA pairs, like the stuff that I thought was cool, but the stuff that's worth money is like the flaming skulls and like not the stuff that I was passing on. Like I was only buying made in USA stuff, so like I didn't have barely any of the made in Mexico stuff. But
Yeah, I don't really know anything about what's what. I know that Made in USA is the older ones, but I guess what you're saying that all the Mexico ones were the big embroidery on the pockets?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, like there are USA pairs that are worth money for sure. Like there's definitely a good chunk of USA pairs that are worth money, but like there's a lot of USA pairs that are only worth 100 to 150 bucks, where like all the other ones are worth I don't know. I don't know. The JNCO market's hard. It's like the t-shirt hype right now where it's like you got people doing fake auctions and I don't really know what anything's actually selling for, but I just know that like a lot of the pairs that I see are for a lot more than what I sold any of my pairs for. But I don't, like I said, I don't think I paid more than I got some of those JNCOs for free. Like people used to just
Yeah.
give them to me.
So why did you start buying these JNCOs in the first place? Tell us, like, were you actually into them? Like when you were younger,
Yeah.
or was this like,
Well, when I was younger, it was like one of those things where it's like I always kind of wanted them, but I never really could get them. And then I found a pair at the bins in like 2018, 2019, I think it was. And then I just started wearing them. I was like, these are sick. And then like a week later, like a whole bin of them came out. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I guess like this is going to be my thing. Like I was like thinking about it. I'm like, all right, everything's going to come back around. Like every 20 years, like when were JNCOs popular? Like 2005. And I was like, all right, so like I got 20 years. So I'm like, they got to come back. So I just started buying them. Like, I don't know. It was just like one of those things where I was like, it was just like a risk. It wasn't necessarily a risk because I was confident. Like I knew they were going to come back.
yeah,
But I definitely didn't think they were going to come back the way they came back. Like for sure. Like I didn't think it was going to be like 16-year-old kids like fighting over them. Like I didn't think it would be anything like this. Like I thought it was gonna
yeah,
like be this little like niche market thing that like not a whole lot of people wanted, but like some of them would like actually pay up for like the rare pairs.
it's very wild that it was sort of by accident that you started collecting them. You got a whole
Yeah,
bin of them, so that would have been someone's collection, like all used
yeah,
pairs.
all crazy pairs too. Like I look back at the picture and I'm like, dude, these are all good ones. Like all ones that I think I sold most of them at the time, but I don't know. I think honestly, what happened was when I moved to Madison. When I moved to Madison is when I like really like heavily started buying them. Like when I was every night eBay, like looking up JNCO like like newly listed, trying to just see whatever pairs got listed. I'd buy like 8 pairs in one night. Pretty much like had a thing where I was like, I'll buy any pair for under $60. because I think I'll be able to sell them for $100 one day. So just any pair that was cheap, I would just buy. And then like I just started, and then I like travel so much buying for the store, I just started buying them there. Like if you scroll down, if you look at the grand opening of Single Stitch, I dropped like 50 pairs of JNCOs at the grand opening in
And were they
2021.
hitting back then when you opened?
They were. That's the thing. Like they actually were selling, and for like good. Like I sold a couple pairs for like $300, but I was like,
Yeah.
do I want to keep? Do I want to put them out slowly and potentially undersell because of the market like devaluation, or do I hold? So I just held and just kept buying and buying until I had. I think it was like in total it was like not including because I wasn't buying just JNCO. Like I was buying I pretty much was buying any baggy pant. And then like
Yeah. So drop us since you're so deep in the baggy pant game. Obviously like baggy's having its biggest moment like right now. Like everybody wants baggy jorts, everybody
yeah,
wants baggy pants, and there's like obviously JNCO is the mother load of bagginess, but then there was a few other brands like Caffeine or whatever. I don't even know the name. Drop some names of brands that had crazy JNCO size bagginess.
all right, some low key brands. All right, honestly, Levi's L2, some of the better stuff. That's like some of my favorite stuff if you like weird technical stuff. But otherwise,
Okay.
Anchor Blue, good cheap alternative. Utility, Interstate, Mecca, Mac Gear's fire. I really like Mac Gear. Trip, obviously, Caffeine.
Yeah. Yo, so
What
what's
else?
this
There's a
Levi's
lot.
L2? It's like more like nylon tech
Nah, it's
pants
like
or
denim. It's denim,
okay.
but it's like it's more like cargos. It's kind of like it's like their 2000s and like late 90s era, and it's like silver tab ish, like fitting wise, I would say. But then it has like I don't know. There's a ton of different pairs. Like there's like good cargos, like good pockets, just good unique designs. Like not a typical 5 pocket jean, you know.
Yeah. Okay, sick. Um let's talk about staffing. I mentioned it before about we were sort of touching on in the beginning about people who know a good hard day's work. And I currently also just want to say I love my staff. If you're listening, I love you guys. You're the best. We have a great team right now. But I have seen periods in my company where it was tougher to get good people, and I think we've done a lot of work on that. So talk to us about your staff, your team. How do you keep them motivated? How do you what's your management style, and describe your company culture? And do you even think about the company culture?
Yeah, I mean, so to start, when I first started, in lacrosse, my whole thing was always I grew up watching Fantasy Factory, so I always wanted to do some shit like that. Where
Hell yes,
I
brother.
was like,
No, I swear to God. So you said
okay,
you had a skate
actually,
park in
no.
the back of your store,
So
and
long term goal, if we got to actually talk about a serious long term goal, that would be like a dream come true if I could do some shit like that. But it was
dude.
always
So if you look in my phone right now, the phone number to my old warehouse is still in my phone, and it says Fantasy Fac, it's a short form for Fantasy Factory, because when we first got it, we had a skate ramp in ours, and we had a fireman pole, and we did all this. I mean, it was super low level Fantasy Factory, but I
yeah, oh,
feel
so
you on
was
that.
ours, yeah. But nah, so when I first started, it was I just want to do some shit where I just want my homies. I just want to work with my homies and we can just have fun every day. For me, when we first started, it was whatever I got to do to not be doing a 9 to 5. That's all I cared about. So I
Yeah,
reached out to Carson and Danny. Carson now runs Cotton Cowboy, and then Danny runs Sterling Lacrosse, who are my two best friends. And I was like, yo, found out this thing. I make way more money than I did at the factory. If you guys want to hop on, let's do it. And so we all did that. And then I realized from that point that it doesn't always work along when you work with your friends, because everybody's kind of button heads. So then me and Danny did that thing, and then that obviously didn't work because we're best friends, but me and Danny lived together and worked together at the store, which was just not a good combo. Do not ever recommend that.
No.
And then, so that was just like a whole learning experience because like, and then we had Nikki T who also lived with me and then worked, and he ran the cash register on most days. So like, it was fun. Like I look back at it and it's like, for sure, those would be like some of the memories that I will always remember. But it also like was not like at the end of it, just like was not healthy. So that was
Yeah.
like a huge learning experience for me to be like, all right, like I have to set a boundary between the people I work with. Like I still love them, you know, like all three of them that
So
I got
after
now.
all that, after like separating, you guys are still good friends.
Oh yeah, to this I was just fishing with Danny yesterday, and I was
Sick.
playing pool
Okay.
with Danny and Nick like 2 nights ago. So, but
Oh,
like,
good
and
for
we
you,
all
man.
like,
That's great.
we all laugh, like we all look at it and like, why the hell did we do that? Like that was so stupid. Like of course that was gonna happen. But then all right, so that pretty much just got me into thinking like I gotta build something to where like we still like respect each other and like we're still friends, but at the same time like they gotta realize that like there's a business that has to be run, and the goal isn't just to run the business, it's to grow the business. You know, so and that's kind of been like always the biggest thing. Like I would say our like we're very relaxed. Like we want to be as welcoming as possible. Like I don't ever want it to be this thing. Like for me, like I hate being behind a counter because like no matter what, like you're sitting behind a counter, like you're kind of get to be up on a podium. Like you're always kind of like looking down at somebody else. So like I would say through typical retail, you know, like when you walk into some nice fancy place with like everybody's wearing a suit and whatever. So for us, we just try
Yeah.
to be like as friendly as possible and like as welcoming and like realize that like we're just like kids that like want to have fun too. That's like why we do so many like fun giveaways and like we try to like for me it's always been about like building a community because that's like what's going to make someone last. Like you don't last. No vintage store is going to last if you don't build if there isn't a community in your town. Because like if there's not a community, then the fad fades.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the episode. That comes to the end of the free 45 minutes. But if you want to continue your journey with myself and Mitch, tap in on the Patreon. Link is down below or up in the corner. Lots more info dropped. This episode goes over 2 hours. It's about 2.5 hours long. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. Continue on the Patreon, free 1-week trial or just $5 a month. After that, thank you guys. Catch you later.